Works. So yeah, I'll be introducing our latest innovation, which is from gallery walls to virtual worlds. Well, this is when the Finnish National Gallery decided to create an art heist experience in Fortnite. So let me start by hello world. I'm Narmeen Marji. My background is actually in architecture, urban design, planning, and I'm an XR specialist at the Helsinki XR Center. On the side, I do my PhD. But I'll go into this content, so I'll have an introduction of how this project came to be, how this concept was generated, a little introduction to the Finnish National Gallery, overview of the project itself, gaming and cultural engagement. So take it a little bit wider, let's discuss how it's kind of changing, the shift in how we experience all kind of cultural content. Fortnite as a stage for introducing virtual content and cultural experiences, impacts and lessons that we learned while developing an art heist experience in Fortnite creative mode, and then some future opportunities of what you can do with this. But yeah, so this project kind of started with our initiative at the Helsinki XR Center called the Virtual Creation Core. So we are a group of people, pioneers, companies, startups that are obsessed with virtual creation, metaverse, XR technologies, and we just want to push the boundaries and see what works and what does not. And everything that we create within that core is shared, fully open source, the information, the knowledge, the data, and the files. So basically to get everything. So when we introduced this concept, our main partner is actually Yle, the National Finnish Broadcasting Company. So we test and create lots of things. And then we started reaching out to cultural institutes around the country. And well, the Finnish National Gallery was quite interested. It is the biggest museum in Finland. It holds the largest art collection with over 38,000 works. It has 3 museum entities. So you have the Atheneum, a Museum of Contemporary Art, and the Cine Brukov Museum. The thing is, they have such a large collection that you can only show a fraction of this at one single time. And they are looking to reach wider audiences, because when you see how people are consuming, like let's say the latest generations, Generation Alpha, how we consume information nowadays, it's in the form of vertical short videos that are maximum like 30 seconds, and everyone has ADHD these days. So how do you produce content in a way and present it in this sort of fast-paced medium? And how do you reach younger generations outside traditional walls of galleries and museums? So they had this vision that they want to make art more accessible to younger generations, and they want to digitalize it, and they want to use engagement, modern ways of engaging these younger audiences. So okay, let's see, what can we do? Roblox, we've done that. They wanted something that looks into more, like presents more advanced graphics, something that's quite more immersive, has a broader age range. So when you looked at Fortnite, it has 650 million registered users, and it's not only a game. And you kind of see that shift with these platforms coming up. They're shifting from just games to global social hubs, cultural hubs, communication. So it hosted lots of events, whether it was musical concerts, any kind of movie releases. Marvel's new movies immediately released their merchandise on Fortnite and Roblox as well. So there's a new way to interact, create, and experience new content on such platforms. And when you notice, like, lots of these games are actually transforming in this way, and this kind of, you can trace it back somehow to when COVID happened, because us as humans, we need a catastrophe to innovate. And when we were hit with that kind of thing that isolated everyone, we just wanted an outlet to communicate. And these games just offered the perfect opportunity and the perfect platform to talk to others, communicate, create your own communities, have some sort of support. So it kind of grew from there. And then, just as Roblox does, Fortnite has its own creative mode. So you can build your own experiences, you tailor it in a way that you want. But the challenge here was how to take cultural content and have it meet the expectations of the people who already use Fortnite, because as you know, it's famous for shooting. So how do you do that? But it's also a very popular ecosystem. So this is how we need to think of how entertainment can creatively kind of meet education and can meet cultural content in a way that is respectful to the authenticity of the artwork itself, but also introduces a new way to appreciate art to younger generations. So let's just look at this a little bit. Why is it important, gaming, for youth engagement? It has become the dominant form, or maybe has always been, of entertainment for younger generations. So we have 80% of young people, aged 2 to 18, they identify as gamers. Yes, a 2-year-old gamer. Many, they're spending 30% of their leisure time in gaming environments, virtual worlds, and they are places of not only just going to play. Some people have most of their social interactions in game worlds, in virtual worlds. So you have cultural exchange and social interactions. So it makes it kind of a perfect opportunity to jump into these worlds and see how you can introduce cultural art, content, high culture to pop culture, and merge those together. So we jumped into it at first, and we went into creating a user engagement survey. We needed to have a solid background, like research on how to actually integrate it, what people actually expect it to be, because you would find lots of experiences on Fortnite that are just, they look pretty, but that's it. It's a one-time thing. What makes people come back and play again and again? So we had the survey to see user engagement, what do they want to see? We had expert interviews, game designers, students, we had recommendations, we gave a participant feedback of how things should be done, and then this resulted in guidelines of how to proceed. We took these guidelines, and then we have one hell of an intensive workshop. So this is kind of the team that was involved. And through this workshop, we had a very creative way of how to bring these ideas together. So we just took a piece of A3 paper, and we gave 30 seconds for everyone to write their ideas. So they were just writing. In 30 seconds, we take the paper from the person, give it to the other person. They build upon each other's ideas. By the end of 15 minutes of just doing that, every single A3 paper ended up with stealing art and art heist. And we're like, we're onto something. Let's see how we can do that. And without further ado, I will introduce the trailer of the game, then go through the mechanics and how it works, and then what this means for cultural institutions in general, and introducing art. So yes. No audio. Imagine it. All right, so at the beginning, the Finnish National Gallery was completely against shooting. We do not want guns in this game. But when you went through the feedback, people wanted to shoot. So we need to think of ways to actually integrate and respect the mechanics of Fortnite itself. So it was redirecting or reframing this virtual action of destroying and taking it into a way of preserving and defending art. So this reframing of this action kind of made it work. So Art Heist it's a structured capture the flag game mode, but artworks replace the flag. You start with 2 teams, each have their gallery, and then you have art all around the island. And each distinct place that hosts this artwork is based on the art piece itself. So it had lots of fantastical elements that came from the art piece. And you would find that quite interesting when you actually try and explore and find those artworks at first. Then you take that artwork. When you find it, you run back to your gallery and you put it there. The funny thing is that anyone can come steal it. And when we ran this, people actually started developing strategies of how to steal art. So they would wait the entire 15 minutes. At minute 14, like 14 minutes passed. Last minute, the entire team would jump into your gallery, steal everything, and run away. So how people actually started using the game mechanics in a way that actually interact with this game world was quite fascinating, because people will always find hacks. And the nice thing about it is that I saw friends of mine were like, I want to go to the museum and find this piece in the real world. And they would start associating certain value of certain places in that they experience in the game itself with artworks. So yeah, you can find a Van Gogh in unexpected locations, and it's quite thrilling and exciting. So it's a perfect mix of culture and action, and it's quite engaging. And another important point is that this allows parents to play with their children. So this co-playing sessions, because children at some point, they want to play Fortnite. Parents don't want them to play something that doesn't add value to their lives. Why are you shooting 100 other people? You might as well learn a little bit about culture, learn a little bit about art. Maybe they start appreciating it more, but also it had very nice sessions. So yeah, we incorporated lots of elements. So first of all, this art of discovery, you seek out the hidden masterpieces. And then you raid galleries, so you steal masterpieces and you protect your own. And then you'd have this stepping into the magic. So each part where it includes an artwork is actually an extension of the artwork itself. Now, I'm not going to say it wasn't challenging, because these are the art pieces that we could include from the 38,000 artworks. For multiple reasons, but mainly because Fortnite have their constraints and restrictions. So if anything depicts slightly nudity, they don't allow you to do it. What's funny enough, and yeah, good luck finding that in Finnish art. But then you'd have anything that depicting dark, violent scenes, so anything with skulls, you're not allowed to use that painting. Funny enough, they have 3D assets full of skulls. And that's also funny because it's a shooting game where you destroy everyone and everything. So yeah, no violence, please. But so that's how we created, kind of trying to manage this. So you adapt the artworks to fit within the game mechanics themselves, but also ensuring that the art remains central to the experience. It's not just a backdrop where you just go, look, beautiful. No, it's actually something that you interact with, that you protect, that you value, that you steal, and it kind of, you create bonds and strategies and tactics of how to do this and that with your team, and eventually it all revolves around the art. But as I said, like, content restrictions were not fun, but also the game also needed to remain fast-paced and competitive to kind of appeal, while also providing educational content. Because when you try to create experiences that have educational content, sometimes they tend to be quite boring. You just go, like, who wants to go in Fortnite seriously and just stand by a painting and read about it? No one. But yeah, steal it, sure. So let's say we released this. We released this experience, and it had quite a positive impact. So we had, in the first 24 hours, over 400,000 game impressions. It was all over the news, and we were quite happy with the impressions that it received. It was received by the gaming communities and the cultural communities as well. And it was quite a brave move, let's say, from the Finnish National Gallery to actually go and do something in a platform like Fortnite, because traditionally gaming is not looked upon quite fondly yet. It's a waste of time, who wants to, but people are there. The younger generations are there. And they're playing something else, so they might as well play something that benefits them and add value to them, and then also have a shared activity to do that includes culture in that kind of space. So this kind of demonstrated how cultural institutions like the Finnish National Gallery can use modern platforms, digital platforms, to make traditional content exciting, but also relevant. So as I said, the challenges, we managed to overcome them, but one of the important ones is using Verse, the new programming language introduced by Epic Games for Unreal Editor in Fortnite. Now, earlier we had a talk about standards, and these guys decided, okay, C++, blueprints, we don't want that. Let's introduce a new language, because, well, that's not a bad idea. But so if anyone is starting off new, you feel like you're coding with your hands tied behind your back. There is documentation, but if you want to create something that's completely out of the box and away from the mechanics that Fortnite already imposes, you're going to have to try to bend the rules to shape the space or the virtual world to interact in the way that you want it to. So it allows you to create things with less flexibility than more mature languages like C++. But yeah, when you create kind of something like this, there has to be clear communication and collaboration between the cultural institutes themselves and the developers. And the institutes themselves, the institutions, they need to be flexible and willing to experiment, because they need to stay relevant. if you want to attract these, like the Generation Alpha, like in 5 years, 10 years, they are going to be the new kind of managers dealing with these things. And most of these kids, like you would find someone whose parents actually met in VR chat. So how do you stay relevant in such an institute that it doesn't just turn into a dusty hall with art? So we need to find a new way to appreciate cultural content. But yeah, this takes me to our pre-final kind of topic, is that cultural heritage in the digital era. So this shift towards spatial computing, if you want to call it, digital platforms, virtual worlds, it is transforming how we perceive, how we promote, and how we interact with cultural heritage. And we need to stay on top of the game. Art Heist was an example of how museums, large-scale institutions that deal with cultural value, need to engage with younger audiences, how they can engage with them, and create their own virtual worlds and digital environments. And by turning classical art into interactive experiences, the Finnish National Gallery is redefining how art is experienced and appreciated in the 21st century, which is quite needed. And as more institutions actually embrace this kind of move, this shift to the digital world, the role of virtual worlds in shaping cultural heritage will keep on expanding and growing better. So the success of this project, it just highlights the growing potential of gaming platforms in general and virtual worlds as they serve as stages for cultural expression. And as we move forward, you can see that the creation of virtual worlds, we're trying to create virtual worlds that not only, no longer just resemble video games, but we're trying to create universes that feel like home. And that is what you saw with the first presentation with this user agency, the player agency, this personalization, this platform that you're comfortable with, it's an extension of yourself, that you spend your time there. You have your own social connections, your emotions, your community, your support system. And there needs to be a balance that we find there of how do we exist here and there. But at some point, I'm not going to say we're going to head to a point where the line between the real and the virtual blurs. I'm going to say it's the line when between the real and the virtual stops mattering. And that's when we know that, okay, we've reached that point that we are in a very comprehensive, well-built metaverse, let's say. But yeah, so as we move further in digital age, the collaborations like Art Heist will become essential in preserving and promoting cultural heritage for future generation. So I just want to give a shout out to the project team from the Helsinki XR Center, the Finnish National Gallery, and the Adventure Club. And I hope you are ready to play Art Heist if you play Fortnite. If not, just give it a try. You'll like it. But yeah, thank you.